Presenting the CW Crew.
Hey everybody, Jon Foss, CW Twin Cities. I'm hanging out with Chris Ray, who's executive producer at Splice, which is a little known place here in the Twin Cities that does some awesome stuff. Most people think like movies, film, TV, all that stuff happens in Hollywood. But right here, a nondescript building, downtown Minneapolis, this is where a lot of CW shows are actually created. Tell us about that.
Oh, well, we're working on some of the current CW shows in visual effects. Mm-hmm. It's a big job on every show, and the schedule of any television show is so tight and fast, and the budgets aren't quite feature-sized, so they have to move fast and furious. Mm-hmm. And with my background in post-production in Los Angeles, I reached out to some friends who work on different shows, and they were bold enough to kind of take a chance on us. And we started pulling in some visual effects shots for, we started on Arrow. Actually, Arrow was our very first show. Very grateful for Arrow. And it's kind of sad that this is their last season.
Yeah.
From there, kind of word of mouth and spreading, we've worked on a lot of different shows in the Berlanti family. We've worked on DC Legends, The Flash, All-American, Batwoman, and we've done shows for ABC, Netflix, and Hulu. We've kind of got an opportunity to do visual effects for a lot of different shows.
And so these CW shows that we're talking about here, what specific parts of the shows do you create?
Well, there's amazing stunts in these shows. Mm-hmm. Arrow's a great example, or Batwoman. They have these fights, and they can't actually throw people around without hurting them, so they harness them up, they put wires on them. And
I would do the stunts myself, but these guys.
I think the union would say no.
Okay.
And they would they'd film them with wires on them and harnesses. A big part of our job is just cleaning those out so that they look like they're flying through the air if they're supposed to be flying. If they come flipping into the screen, that's usually something that we have to clean up. So there's some movie magic that we get to help with. Some of it's a little less exciting. It might be a reflection in the window that's not supposed to be there, or sunglasses that show something that you're not supposed to see. And then, because screens don't shoot too well, we do a lot of monitor burn-ins. Computer graphics will be put in screens, television shows will be put on TVs in TV shows. It's confusing. So we'll do a lot of that.
Very cool. So you are an LA guy, and we appreciate that you brought a little bit of LA to the Twin Cities here for people that work in the industry. Why would somebody like you, who's living the dream in LA, come back to Minnesota?
Living the dream. Family. My wife and I are both from Minnesota, and our parents are here, and our children should be a part of their lives. So we decided that this is the perfect opportunity for us to share our lives together and enjoy the cold. That's the hardest part of getting used to living here. People, great. Weather, tough.
And I've worked with Splice in the past, and usually it seemed like most of the work here was corporate, but you are kind of responsible for bridging the gap. Tell us about that, between more entertainment type stuff.
In fairness, they did actually do some more creative projects. They did some independent features, and they actually worked a lot with community films and doing different shows for them. And that's actually the reel that they built was the first thing that caught my eye when I saw it. And I just kind of saw it as a great opportunity to pitch it to people that I'd worked with in Los Angeles, friends, colleagues, and see if there was a fit there. Like I said, Arrow gave us a shot, and it worked great. I'm so proud of the work that we've done. We've had an opportunity to work on shows that I'm just fans of. I love all the shows. I'm a comic book nerd. I was.
So
excited.
you're the real deal.
I am.
You watch these shows, right?
You can see my office is full of stuff.
Cool. So it's got to be pretty cool to work on the shows that you watch.
It's a dream come true.
How did you make that first connection with Arrow?
A colleague, and also one of my best friends from college. We were out in Los Angeles at the same time. We both went to Morehead State in Minnesota, and I helped him actually get his first job in post-production. I don't know if he'll fess up to that, but I did. And When I started talking to the artists here, I realized that we'd be a great fit for his show and help him come in under budget, hopefully.
So that's really cool that you guys do a lot of the work right here. Is it possible to show us? I know there's limitations, but can you show us some of the work?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I'd love to show you some of the work.
All right, so this is where the magic happens?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And this is my favorite shot. This is the shot that I'm most proud of for the work we've done. This is from Legends. It was the first show from last season, and they requested a unicorn, and we were excited to do that. The story is that they're in Woodstock, and there's a magical unicorn. So they shot a horse, and there were guide wires for the horse. We came up with the design of the rainbow behind it, and then they came back to us later and asked us if we wanted to blow up the unicorn, and of course we wanted to. So here's a little look at the horse and our butterflies. That's the actual horse. And then we got to blow it up.
So basically they have something written in a script and they leave part of it vague, and then they say, what would you put here?
Well,
and then you pitched this idea of the unicorn?
Well, they shot the horse, so they knew what they wanted.
Did they know
in
they
the
wanted
story,
a unicorn? But they just didn't know exactly what they wanted it to look like or what was possible?
Exactly. They wanted it to be majestic. They wanted it to be magical. It's the whole season's about magic. And the horse is evil, but in the first encounter with it, it's beautiful, majestic, and it's part of the lure of the charm of the horse before it kills people.
Did you do the visual effects for the kill scene?
We got to impale a hippie, yes.
Okay.
And that was awesome, too.
Nice.
I don't think I have that. I'm sorry, but...
And you had to go through, you were saying before, a couple different versions of this because some were too gross.
You can get a little graphic, and the idea wasn't to gross anybody out. It was to be funny and enjoyable. And the artist, when he built this, every element, every internal piece of this horse is created, and then he has to pick a direction for it and try to make it as natural as possible in blowing up. It's actually all thought out. Every movement in there is
that's crazy.
It's purposeful.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned here, like some of the fire shots are the hardest to edit because of the light changes.
Right. When you're removing, in this scene, the wires have to be removed, and specifically this shot, they're difficult. There's explosions, there's fire.
Is that fire there? Or did you add that in?
No, I think in this case, they actually have fire on set. Because they're all stuntmen, they're allowed to, if they were the actual actors, they wouldn't be anywhere near fire.
You have to get rid of that cord.
There's a lot of them in here. This was a better sample of it. You can see there's a harness here, here, here. It's going to control the trajectory of the stuntman so he doesn't get hurt.
And for the most part, those stunt people don't get hurt?
To the best of my knowledge, no. I ask a lot because I can't believe how brutal it looks.
Yeah.
But no, they usually say, nope, no, they're fine. They do it every day.
And you were saying on the shot in the van, you saw the extended version. It looked like the rope kind of. You were worried about that guy.
I actually was. He starts rolling towards camera, and the rope kept kind of rolling with him and winding around his chest and his neck. And we thought, oh man, that guy had to get hurt. But he didn't. He was fine.
Crazy. And
in that one, he also is pulled just moments before the car actually hits him.
So they just tug him out of the car? Or out of the shot?
Yeah, they actually pull him so hard that it looks like the car hit him.
Yeah.
And he flies through. We're also adding elements like smoke or water in certain shots, whatever the shot calls for.
When you're trying to kind of guess what people have in mind, basically they tell you what they want, and then you try to come up with what you think they want. How often does the back and forth go where you have to like completely change something after you've made it?
A lot.
A lot?
It can happen a lot. We'll have something in our head that could kind of be
awesome.
It could exactly, and we could be off mark for what they're really looking for. And it's one of those things that you get the kindest words, and yet they want a change. Like, that looks really good, but you can get through one producer going, okay, here's how I want it to look, and you'll meet their needs, and then they'll give it to their boss and their other producer, and then it will be totally different from what they wanted. So we'll have to kind of go back from scratch and start over again. And you go through the process.
So there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
And then the worst would be going all the way through all the producers, get to the network, and then the standards and practices. People go, ooh, it's too bloody. You got to pull back on the blood, which is fine. It happens. But yeah, you do have to meet a lot of people's standards. And this one, they shot all the actors with buttons on. They're all here. And they asked all the buttons to be removed because I think it was before the election, so they're going to have the buttons on.
Yeah.
And we removed those.
Great.
And that happens more times than you'd think. This is a shot where they got they bought a stock footage shot of a building and asked for it to be night instead of day to meet their story needs. And they also wanted it to be a casino, so we added the casino light, and I think we put some damage in the building, if I remember right as well. Had to turn the lights on, and we also had to light up the city.
Awesome.
And trick arrow smoke, and we built 3D smoke. This is a great one. The stunt driver has to hit a ramp, flip the car, but you can't see the ramp.
That's crazy.
And we'll clean that all out so it looks flawless. The motorcycle is jumping over a little jump, and the production said, what can you do to remove it? Now, we were going to try to recreate the building behind it, but we were like, it's going to be so hard and so painful because the camera's moving. What if we just built our own car and tucked it in there next to the other car? So we built the car, lit it so that it looks like it was actually in the environment.
That's great.
And now the motorcycle flies between two cars. The crossover last year had the red skies. We added the lightning and created the look for the overall atmosphere of the whole scene. But yeah, they'll get a shot like this, and they'll ask us to make it look supernatural.
Cool.
With lightning, and there's our heroes.
Very cool.
This was the crossover as well, and our first introduction to Batwoman. And she had a rig on her, so she comes flying through. And here, you asked earlier if we added fire. This shot, we actually did add the fire to it. The flame, it had a little bit of flame in it, and then they cut to the stuntman. We added the fire that was more like that.
Do you have to change the guy's face?
In this one, it's such a fast cut.
Nobody would be able to tell.
Nobody could really tell through the chain link fence. There's Oliver in jail last year, and he made a little bomb. And this is DC Legends again. They did a kind of a Matrix-y little
that's cool.
moment. We've also been doing the holograms for them. And that's always fun.
So the person's actually there, and then you just lighten them and make them opaque or whatever?
Well, they shoot it twice. They'll shoot the element of just the actor there, and then they'll lock off the camera, shoot her, and then shoot the scene, and then add her to the scene, putting the two plates together.
And then change the opacity so you can see through?
Exactly.
Gotcha. I could do this.
You're hired.
I'm taking notes.
Could always use help. There's a stunt where there's a trick arrow that wraps a cord around a couple of the bad guys. They fall down, they get up, they take the wires off, and they run in. But they wanted to use the shot after he got hit, after he took the wire off. So they wanted him clean. So we actually had to remove all the wire that was supposed to be there anyway, but they decided to use the shot not quite the way it was intended in making the story better. Cool. And there they had a stunt actor with nothing but I think the handles in her hand. There's no actual sword there. We add the blades and some of the sparks.
Very cool. All right, so coming up right around the corner is the crossovers.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Come
on.
Anything.
You're our hookup.
I can tell you that it's going to be amazing. I can't believe how big of an event it's going to be. It's huge. They've done a lot in the past. I can't believe how big it is. I've seen some of the footage that is public, that they have made public, and the more they tell me, the more I get. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great.
Which ones have you worked on? Can you tell
For
us
the crossover, we, I don't know. Can I say it? Do you think? Honestly,
I'm not sure. I knew that you were probably going to say you couldn't say anything. I just
Okay.
wanted the question in there.
Yeah,
Or-
I'll keep that one quiet.
Okay. We came here to get the inside scoop, but even this guy can't tell us. There's security at the door. We had to
Right.
sign in.
Yes.
This is highly classified stuff.
Well, security is actually very important. It's part of how we keep our jobs.
And it gives us jobs because the only place you guys are going to find out is watching the CW Twin Cities.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, Chris, thank you very much.
That's my pleasure. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
The CW crew on the CW Twin Cities. DJ Bonix, Alexa Score, and Jon Foss. Like, follow, subscribe to, and love the CW crew.